the very first game that they lost to Gangstar. So Rogue, they should still be careful. They should not underestimate Tempo Storm, and they should take it one match at a time. After you win it, then you can start thinking about the finals versus Tribe.
Yeah, and this is one that Tribe is going to be watching very, very closely because they are praying for an upset. I mean, so that they can have that chance at going to Worlds. Because if Rogue gets too many points, then it becomes a moot point. They're not going to be able to catch up to them. So Rogue, a hugely important matchup for them.
It certainly will be. Let's take a look at Rogue's roster coming on into this game. It's Evil, it's Hammy, and it's Pon. The original. It was Sibs playing yesterday. We'll see whether Sibs is going to be stepping in again or whether it will be Pon stepping forward. But this is a team that, regardless of whether they have a sub or not, still looks just as strong.
Yeah, I mean, both of their junglers are extremely confident junglers, extremely talented junglers. And with that saw pick that Hammy has been picking up almost every single game, Rogue has been performing phenomenally going up against Tempo today. I hope Tempo comes in with a plan prepared for that saw.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if it is going to be that saw focus once more, or maybe Tempo Storm just bans it away every game. Who knows what it's going to look like in the draft until we get there. You can't really say for sure.
We cannot say for sure just yet. Let's take a look at the Tempo Storm roster coming on into this series. Lost Bitoff, Gatsby, and Hyde, but it has been Playboy Afro stepping on into this roster, and it has to be said, Tempo Storm have looked better with the new captain.
I agree. They have looked better with the new captain. He seems to be performing better than Lost Boy, despite Lost Boy being one of the most renowned players and across all of Vainglory, very well known. So Hyde or Playoff Boy coming in and helping his team, it's been working for them.
Yeah, Playboy Afro certainly has been stepping up for them, and we'll see if they can continue to do that. They're definitely going to have their work cut out, but I believe in the upset. I'm excited to see if Tempo can step up on in this series. Let's take a look at the player to watch, though, coming on in. It's got to be Evil from Rogue. This man has been exceptional. Every single game, it feels like Evil shows off some new mechanic or new way to outplay his opponents.
Yeah, and the Lance pick has been such a key pick for Rogue. It's not the only pick he can play, but when he gets his hands on it, he just is an absolute all-star. And the plays that he makes when he has that Lance, the Githian walls, the way he sets up his team time and time and time again, it never gets old to watch.
No, it certainly doesn't. And it's about time that we start to talk about the draft and head on into this semi-final. And the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to the draft, especially when it comes to Hammy on Rogue, this saw pick. They played it every single game on their quarterfinals. How do you play around that? We can talk about drafting around the saw, but like, what are the steps to draft around a saw?
I mean, you just need to have a prepared plan. You need to know exactly what works against it, because there are different things that work against the saw depending on what team you're talking about. We know the Celeste works against it, so the long-range mage carries do work against it. We've seen other teams be able to take it down with dive compositions such as the Black Feather. So it's just about what works for Tempo Storm against this saw. They just need to understand what that thing is, and they need to recognize it so that they can try to get it.
All right, so making sure to figure out a win condition that works into this saw and whether or not they'll be able to pull that off. I want to talk a little bit about that Batiste as well. We were mentioning it. It's very good into these bruiser compositions that we've been seeing a lot in the last few days. Are we expecting to see more prevalence here, or is that still going to be a background pick?
I definitely think it's going to be still somewhat in the background, but as you mentioned, when the bruiser comps do come through, that's when you have a bit more of an opportunity to go for that Batiste. But I love the adaptation of the draft. With Rogue banning away the Celeste, Tempo Storm immediately say, well, this saw is not going to be happening.
Yeah, I asked how you draft around a saw. The answer is you first ban it every game. There you go.
I mean, especially the Celeste ban definitely prompts that saw to follow up, because if you're not going to have the Celeste against it, that could be troublesome, but that does mean the Rhyme goes through to Rogue, and that's one of the strongest picks here in 2.9 just because of how aggressive it can play.
Interesting that Tempo Storm went for this Arden and banning away the Lyra instead of trying to take that Black Feather for themselves. Now Rogue, you got to wonder if they're just going to ban that against Tempo Storm and not allow it to go through, because obviously Tempo Storm, they would love to be able to pick up that Black Feather perhaps, but you run that risk of getting into this full-on brawl style and then having a Rona come through and just disrupt everything. So it's a little bit of a decision to be made for the side of Rogue at this point.
The Arden pick is also something that Tempo Storm played yesterday against Gangstars in their second game and won with it, so they're feeling comfortable with it. They take the Lyra like you said, and also they played Celeste yesterday as well and they won with it, so Rogue's ban was directed at two different things.
Certainly was. Celeste going to be taken off the board here, along with that Lyra. And now Tempo. I would decide where to go with this one. Certainly could go with something like a jungle pick so that they can save a counter for the lane.
They could, but not in this situation. Is not necessary. The Black Feather that is still open. That's a much better one, and you can flex it at the same time.
Do you know, I hadn't seen it picked. I just kind of automatically assume that it's banned if you're down to the second round of picks.
Well, this is what I was talking about, though, when it was on Rogue's ban, is they leave it open, Tempo Storm takes it, now the Rona comes through for Rogue. This is going to be a brawl composition.
And this is where you switch the Black Feather to CP and pick up a Vox.
That's really your only option here if you're Tempo Storm, is to go with the CP Black Feather and get something with the range in the lane. But even then, this is still a very strong comp from Rogue.
Batiste is still open. That could be the jungle. We've just been talking about how it goes well into a brawl composition. You could have that Black Feather weapon power.
You could have that, but triple melee versus Lance, Evil's Lance nonetheless is going to be very risky. I would prefer to see the Vox or any other range carry come out and play in the CP Black Feather in the jungle.
Fair enough.
You're also playing against a Rhyme. These are two heroes that work very well against triple melee.
Oh, Sky.
Ooh, nice. Sky is a pick that we used to talk about a lot at the start of the season, the last couple weeks. It's kind of faded away from memory because no one's been playing it, but it does work very well into these melee compositions.
It actually works perfectly against this composition. Not only is it one of the strongest picks against Rhyme in the jungle if they're going to be playing it in the jungle, but it also works versus Rona very well later on in team fights. However, if that is a CP Sky that we're talking about, that means Black Feather is going to be weapon power, and he's going to be in the melee range.
All right, they're going to be right in the thick of things. We'll see where the Sky is going to be going. It's time to jump into our second semi-final. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Are you a fan of the Tempo Storm upset, or do you want Rogue to walk on into the final? It's time to decide as we pass it over to Humanist and Dowsey.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rogue versus Tempo Storm. We got a little Sky action here on the map, Dowsey. We don't see Sky played all of the time. You were talking about you wanted to see this played a specific way. Is it going to be played out the way you like?
Unfortunately not. I think this would have been a far better weapon power Sky in the lane pick. Chuck that Black Feather into the jungle as a crystal power format variant, and you would have actually had a fairly strong composition from Tempo Storm. Reason being, Crystal Power Black Feather has a lot of poke. Building with Shadow Glass, BM, Clockwork, you have a lot of poke that you can put out towards this triple melee composition. And Weapon Power Sky, once you hit that fourth item of, you know, Breaking Point, Sorrow Blade, you know, a bit of crit, whatever you need, you just dance around people and you do so much damage. Would have meant that it would have been very safe, but it's not too bad in the Crystal Power format. Sky's dropped out of meta, which is really surprising here, because she's really good against everything that is good in the meta right now.
Right.
But this is because of the fact that Frostburn took a big hit to its damage output and its effectiveness. Not only that, Sky's lock-on damage change kind of really changed her damage output. It's not to say Sky's bad, it just says you kind of require a little bit more skill to execute on her so greatly. And if Sky can get to a late game stage and really just take over the game, then Tempo Storm have some really good opportunities to take down Rogue.
Yeah, there are a lot of great opportunities. I think, from my perspective, the Sky feels like it's going to be easier to execute on the Black Feather this game. But Gatsby, he'll have to get in and out, work around these fights, play a little bit harder than normal, but he can have an impact. Of course, we've seen the Black Feather so incredibly strong right now. On the other side, though, Hyde throwing out a flare down in the jungle. He's playing games with Civs, but Poke up in the lane. Once again, Evil, Playboy Afro, just kind of babysitting their laners. They pop the camera back down into the jungle. Sib's able to get the Elder Treant. He's going to move forward. He has the chill lens. Hyde, Suri strikes back onto the other side. Does Hyde have boots? Yeah, he does have his boots. And Sibs is going to run right at him. Evo pops his boots. He's going to run him down. There's the Impale. Nice stun as well. Winter Spires come down. Hyde's going to pop the Healing Flask. Nice Suri strike over the top. Okay, now that's the mobility that you were talking about and why it's going to be so good against this composition.
Yeah, so no matter if it's Weapon Power or Crystal Power, Sky's mobility allows her to escape Rhyme and kind of keep him at bay. A full range Series Strike into a forward barrage. Rhyme's it's going to be hard for Rhyme to get on top of the Sky. Of course, there's the Rona to deal with. She's currently taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, she's getting lit up right there, and that's going to be the Healing Flask used on the full defensive side of things just to keep him alive.
The Gatsby finding a bit of early damage. Rona very good into the Black Feather. However, it's kind of in some sense, a skill matchup. It's not super one-sided, but it definitely favors the Rona. Really comes down to how you can play as this Black Feather, whether or not you can avoid her red mist and that damage. The Sky definitely helps out with dealing with Hammy, but like you mentioned, Gatsby is going to have a bit of a difficult time. Black Feather not really good into Rhyme, not really good into Rona, not really good into Lance, so Gatsby is going to have to play this matchup perfectly and really just rely on Hyde to be such a backline threat that Sky can become. Guy's build may be a bit of a question for people because we don't see much Sky because she's kind of fallen out of competitive play. Dragon's Eye tends to be really good. You go Dragon's Eye into an Eve of Harvest, and then Broken Myth and perhaps a Clockwork as a third item. There's actually no reason you can't go Frostburn either. Yes, it's a bit weaker, but it does do well into this triple melee composition. So if Hyde was to go Frostburn Dragon's Eye, then he would actually have a substantial amount of damage with the Dragon's Eye stacks that come through. With the extra utility added, it could give Tempo a bit of a competitive edge. Goes down to the shop, he has 700 gold, so he's not purchasing anything just yet, but if he goes Frostburn and kind of then into a Dragon's Eye Eve of Harvest, then not to say he can't output a decent amount of damage.
No, that's a legit chunk of damage. I mean, Sky, especially if she has that target lock, she's going to be able to just mow through Rogue's health bars, and we'll see how it's going to play out. I like the Frostburn, I think, especially when you see Hammy start to spin up on the red mist. He wants to stay on target, and if you can kind of just kite back during that red mist, it could be really nice.
Yeah, like it's... I don't want to say that Frostburn is an amazing pick because it's so not what it used to be as an item. But it works, and it's not completely unviable. I think a lot of people have kind of overlooked the item because it definitely is nowhere near as strong as it used to be as far as Crystal's power is concerned. It's a little bit more expensive for the stats you're getting from it, but it would work into triple melee, and if you're able to get to a 4 damage item point, this is kind of the issue with going Frostburn, is you definitely require 4 damage items on Sky, and from the jungle it's hard to have that kind of gold income. Then it can work. Hyde's going to go down to the shop, does get that Dragon's Eye, which is a little bit more meta on 2.9, and then likely going to go Eve of Harvest, Broken Myth, Clockwork as his build, meaning that we won't see the elusive Frost today.
Yeah, we'll see how it's all going to play out here. I think Broken Myth is going to be a great item to pick up for him, especially as we already see shielding starting to be picked up for the side of Rogue. But Dalsy, we're 6 minutes in. This is a very quiet game. You know, teams just kind of getting their levels, getting their items together. And when do you think this is going to pop off?
Now that the Shatterglass has been completed and level 6 is there for Sib, he's had it for a little bit. This is time for Rhyme to shine, Valkyrie to come down on top of heads, try and lock someone up, Hammy to jump on in, spin to win. Really, Hyde is the easiest target to execute this onto because he's the squishiest, but he's also the most highly mobile. So I think Rogue are going to be looking to be the playmakers here and try and engage fights, whereas Tempo, a little bit more happy to react and kite to what Rogue want to do.
All right, well, Rogue trying to make it happen right here. A nice impale just on the edge. Hyde repositions, throws death from above. It's going to land on the Sib. Sib's very tanky, though. All of Rogue incredibly tanky. You can see Evil still holding that fountain just in case they even did get low there. So Timbo, a nice kite back, though.
Yeah, and look at what Evol's going as his second item. He's going towards Echo. He loves it. Such a playmaker on this Lance. So much so that the analyst desk yesterday was saying maybe teams start considering banning away Evol's Lance if they get the opportunity somewhere during the draft because of how good he is at making things work. And yesterday we saw some pretty impressive Giffy and War plays from him once he had that Echo online. Going to be really useful to locking down this Sky. You saw an Impale connected the Giffy War as well, but it wasn't quite enough to take down Hyde. With a Echo online could change the story. Now there's a Gauntlet available for Playboy Afro. Going towards a Crucible as his second item. Needs to block up that Valkyrie if it comes down, or one of Evol's Crazy Lance plays. Gatsby going Poison Shift second item. A little bit strange on the Black Feather. Means that if he was to go towards... Well, actually, it's not too bad considering he's picked up a Sorrow Blade as his first item. The issue with Poison Shift Black Feather is usually that the standard build is Breaking Point is really good on the Black Feather, and if you build a Poison Shift, then you actually have a lot of attack speed for yourself. So Often people don't want to go the Poison Shiv route, but there's a lot of healing. So
Nice
Poison
step
Shiv
from
could work
above.
out.
Just splitting Rogue apart there. Rogue going to be forced to move back. Sibs finally joins his team. And it looks like Sibs happy to play some games, but with that Rhyme on the front line, that'll be Tempo kind of scattering to the wind. Gatsby and Playboy right back up into the lane, going to shove this forward. Hyde continues to farm here. He'll be moving into the second item, and it looks like, based off what he's picked up, good chance we'll see that Eve of Harvest coming out. Sibs, he's got the gold miner.
wow.
A nice stun cancels off the gauntlet coming through. Evil Lord and Savior Hyde actually grabs the gold mine and gets first blood as well. What a play coming through. This just swung over to Tempo Storm and blew the game open. Gatsby grabs the mid tree on there. Hyde playing games with Evol up towards the lane. Vanguard from Playboy onto Gatsby. Gatsby, he's stuck right onto Hammy. Hammy starts spinning with the red mist. Evol drops down. They block off the impale, but they have the gifting wall. Second gifting wall. Did he finish? He must have finished the echo right there. Evol rolls over the wall. He almost went down as well. Tempo Storm just absolutely turned this one up.
Yeah, no, I was talking about how Poison Shiv not really meta on Black Feather, but against Arona it actually works very well. She has so much sustain with the Serpent's Mask Soup. You're cutting down that healing, then you're doing yourself a favor. Sibs, of course, will have Eve of Harvest eventually in the Rhyme. You want to cut down his sustain as well. Can't defend the turret. He might even just lose his life.
Dropping low, almost debating Tempo into a fight they don't want to take. They were dropping down very low, and Fountain's on about a 30-second cooldown for Tempo Storm, while on the other side, Evil's is coming up off of cooldown right now. So Rogue look like they're ready to fight. In fact, Valkyrie is ready to go as well. Hammy, he's got that Serpent Mask complete. He'll be building into that breaking point next. He's hitting a lot of these power spikes right on time, and I like the fact that he's picked up a little armor and shielding here early on. Rogue looking for an opportunity here. It's going to be Sibs getting lit up. Gatsby jumping in. He's right in and out, but a nice get the end wall. Canceling off the aggression from Tempo Storm, but Hyde, he's going to go ahead and throw that forward barrage from range, and not really ready to follow up on that just yet.
Well, this is the thing, though. When Gatsby gets the bravery to dive on into that triple melee composition of death as a Black Feather, it allows Hyde to be a backline threat on this Sky. If the Sky is not focused, then she's building up Dragon's Eye stack. She has a broken myth coming through. She's going to be piercing her the shielding that comes out, and he's going to be doing so much damage untouched. This is really nice play from Tempo Storm. Very nice stuff coming from them. They're a team that has so much potential, always has, and I think will continuously have potential, Humanist, but it's just been untapped. Haven't really been able to find their stride here in the North American Vainglory 8. Against Rogue, wouldn't that just be an even bigger upset? We've already had TSM 4 in the first semi-final.
Oh, man.
If Tempo was to take down Rogue as well, then that would just throw everything up in the air, and I think Tribe would be very happy about it.
Oh my goodness, Tribe definitely would be happy about that. Let's see, can Tempo Storm tap that potential? Hammy taps Gatsby in the lane. He'll move back right out of turret aggro range right there. Hyde just throwing that forward barrage, trying to just clip onto Evil, start to build up his stacks. And he'll get a little bit... It looks like he actually completed that Broken Myth second item there. So what do you actually think about that?
Yeah, really good stuff from the Sky. Like mentioned, she needs to be able to pierce through any shielding that comes through. And both Sibs and Hammy very likely to prioritize defensive after their second damage items here, Humanists. So they're likely to get that Atlas Pauldron and that Aegis online. So getting that Broken Myth in is very good. You've already got the Dragon's Eye. When you have Dragon's Eye and Broken Myth, you basically have something very similar to what was the previous Broken Myth on 2.8. And it was so important to Sky's kit. Now Hyde needs to get himself sustained so that he can continue laying out the damage, more needing the energy regen more than anything. So that's going to be the Eve of Harvest.
They pop fresh infusions, but Hyde gets impaled, death from above, and a nice Surrey strike with Hammy over the wall and into the fray. Hammy spinning up, but it's Gatsby on the backside. He's lighting up Evil. Evil drops right here, but not before he used the Fountain on his team. Rogue very tanky, but Hyde with those Dragon's Eye stacks, and of course the Broken Myth is burning right through. A Surrey strike over the top side. And that'll be the ace coming through for Tempo Storm. They lose one, but they take all three of Rogue. They're going to get the Gold Miner as well. What a absolutely beautiful performance here.
Hyde Sky is incredible. He is making this hero look like it is the strongest on this update. Where has this Sky play been this entire 2.9 update?
But that's how the meta works, isn't it? I mean, this is how the meta evolves, right?
Exactly, Humanist, and it is because when you think about what's strong in this update, Sky is one of the perfect counters to it all. It's just people have been so hesitant to pick her up. Sky was so strong, Humanists. Whenever something is really strong and then the damage or power gets taken away just a little bit, everyone chucks a tantrum and they don't want to play it anymore. They don't want to use it anymore. But Sky is still very viable, if in the right hands, if with a composition that synergizes so well. And what Tempo Storm's composition does is it provides threat in a Black Feather and an Arden that just cannot be ignored. Hyde's found Sips all by
Sibs
himself.
is in a bad place. Dowsy will throw out the chill winds, but he can't get away from this. He throw the Valkyrie. He comes down on top of Hyde, but Sibs loses his life. This Sky coming alive here, fighting from range. This is exactly what we were talking about in the draft. Tempo just needed something to stay at range and deal good damage.
Yeah, no, this is incredible stuff from them. They've really figured out this draft. I did think that weapon power may have just been better because it's had more success on 2.9, but Hyde's Crystal Power Sky is pretty nasty. He's going to have an Eve of Harvest for himself. That means he can sustain. Rogue's caught out Tempo, but the disengage that comes out of an Arden and a Black Feather, pretty simple stuff. Hyde has that battery in inventory. Clockwork will be his third and final item. More cooldown reduction, more energy regen. Makes this Sky even more threatening for the side. Death from above, multiple during team fights. Gaspy has that breaking point online as well. Means he's building up over the team fight. Rogue have not been able to find anything in this game. Tempo Storm continuously doing work.
Death from above, Hyde, he's going to Suri Strike 3 position, a nice forward barrage right down the pipe, and the Gauntlet's going to drop on top of Rogue. This is Gatsby dropping low. Does he have the regeneration? No, he doesn't. And Rogue are going to be able to get a double kill, actually coming through for, that was Hammy that got the double kill, I believe. He takes down Playboy. They're going to take a turret as well. Hyde, very defensive after the initial Suri Strike into position.
Yeah, such a poor timing as well to lose that team fight. Like you mentioned, Hyde wasn't really able to do much damage. The gauntlet placement was just a tiny bit off, a pixel off, being the perfect gauntlet. And I think what Gaspy needed to do was kite backwards instead of deep into the team fight. He really wanted to be the threat and the thing that the enemy team focused on, but he wasn't able to. Hyde!
I mean,
Suicides.
I like this guy.
And if he pulled off that play, got the Kraken, then that would have been huge. No, don't zoom in on him, Aloha. He did his best there. That could have been a pretty impressive steal for the side of Tempo Storm. Let us not forget, 2.9 Kraken has less health when you're capturing it, 20% less health. So it was very viable that Hyde stole that Kraken. He was always going to die in that play, but if he stole the Kraken, then it just removed any threat from Rogue. Sky's objective control really weak, so she's not really doing missing out on anything for Tempo Storm. They've already got this Kraken down to half HP.
This is Gatsby getting a couple breaking point stacks here early on if they do choose to fight. Kraken's dropping low, and I feel like they could almost ignore it if they did want to fight, but this is going to be their focus. Can't blame them for that. Tempo take down the Kraken, now dropping into the jungle where their Crystal Sentry's getting lit up. This is Boots forward, Gauntlet down. Tempo ready to fight. Who's going to be the target? It's Evo. Evo deleted off the map. Now Tempo looking for more. Hammy spinning. He has fortified health and a lot of life still coming through, but it's not enough as the fountain comes out of Playboy to keep Tempo alive, and this is just a matter of time before Sibs goes down. Tempo, they get the gold from the Kraken. They find the ace about 17 minutes in here.
Man, what an incredible performance we've seen from Tempo Storm here. That Kraken not threatening whatsoever. Tempo Storm going to find 2 turrets on this push here. Where has the side of Rogue gone? Yesterday, Saw, and it's kind of, you got to catch 22 here. You either ban Saw and they pick Rhyme, or you ban Rhyme and they pick Saw. Seems like Tempo Storm very happy to play against this Rhyme, and that might just change Rogue's drafting up a little bit going into game 2 here. It's not all done yet. We're getting to later stages of the game. Tempo Storm needs to close out sooner rather than later. Got a replay of that previous fight here, and you can see that when Evo gets focused down so easily, it allows for Tempo Storm to be able to deal with both the Rona and that Rhyme so easily. Evo's the only real hard CC on the team if you want to discount Rhyme's Root and Valkyrie. Because of his ability to knock up against the walls, when Evo's focused like that, it increases the chances for Tempo Storm to win these fights so much heavily. We've got Kraken spawning in just a little bit here. Tempo Tempo Storm with echoed gauntlets ready to go, with Hyde almost at his full build, Gatsby practically there. They are hungry to find a Game 1 victory against the point leader in North America.
And they're doing a phenomenal job. I feel like locking down this Tempo squad is like trying to grab a fistful of water. There's just no way to do it. As they jump in, Tempo just disperse. They move out into every angle imaginable. There's no way to lock down this Black Feather, you said, especially with the Arden. Now, let's go. Gauntlets down. How's this going to play out? Death from above over the top side. I think he cancel out the second Gauntlet there. Evil doing a good job with his own Echo Githian walls. Valkyrie comes down over the top. Evil dropping low. So is Gatsby. Gatsby, he moves right back in over the top with Rose Offensive. Evil able to get himself out over the top with the combat roll. He's in looking for the impale and misses Hyde dancing around the fight. Boy, wants to get closer to Hyde. Help him out here, but Hyde, he's in and out of the fight. Just he's a ballerina. I don't know what he is. He's just beautiful plays over the wall, in the lane, in the jungle. So he strikes back. Forward barrage melting through Hammy. He's got 2 kills in this fight, now looking potentially for Sibs. I would say it's a bold move if he wants to go for it. He's got the target lock. He's got the Vanguard. Sibs, he's going to go behind this back Treant here. He's going to find the chill when Sibs throwing the Winter Spires. Hyde kiting back. Crystal Citrus here. Playboy, he's on to Sibs. Sibs building up the fortified health, and the ace comes through. Tempo Storm playing like they're possessed right now.
Man, if that's the fight of the week, Humanist, then make sure you add some ballet music, because Hyde is just doing so much work, and their ability to kite through the death from above, it's just been so well. Hyde just setting up a wall. If they want to get onto this Skye and take her down, they have to give they have to give damage over to Hyde. They have to slow themselves down. They're just playing into Hyde's game here. Gatsby gonna say no to Evil. Evil is having a monster performance. Like always, his lance is impressive. He's cancelling out gauntlets. He's holding his own against Black Feather, but the spotlight's not on Evil today, it's on Hyde. A Kraken has been unleashed. Clockwork is ready to go for Hyde. This is it for Tempo Storm, the opportunity to break open the base and take Game 1.
Oh my goodness. This Skye is coming into her own right now, ready to go. 4 offensive items. This is exactly where the Skye just starts tearing teams apart. It was hard to lock her down before. It's going to be even more difficult now. Kraken bearing down upon this choke point turret. Sibs just throwing Winter Spires, looking to connect to a little bit of chip damage. A death from above kind of zoning Rogue out as the choke point turret will fall. Tempo kind of just kiting, drafting behind that Kraken there. Hyde will take the back Treant. He's going to get a little regen out of that. We'll look for the target lock as the gauntlet goes down. Hyde, he kites right back out of the gauntlet, moves forward.
Oh, wow.
Death from above off the mark. The second gauntlet, perfect.
It's stunning.
Right into it, in and out, in and out. You got to get off of the wall, Rogue. That's not how you play Vainglory. Valkyrie down over the top. Tempo Storm playing like a first place team. An unbelievable performance as they are going to be taking Game 1 up against Rogue.
What was that gauntlet placement from Playboy Afro? He got 11 stuns, it felt like. I made that number up, Humanist, but it's probably close enough.
Right.
I want to get a replay and just get a stun counter. That was unbelievable placement from Playboy Afro. And what an unbelievable performance from Tempo Storm. You cannot sleep on this roster. They are here to play. We may just be living in Upset City because Game 1 of this series is Tempo Storm's.
Upset City in the middle of Upset State, in the middle of Upset Nation over here at the Vainglory8 North America today. What a Game 1. I'm excited to see what we're going to have come up next. But to break this one down, we'll throw it over to Munchables and our analysts.
I suppose I have to eat my words on this one because I came in assuming that Tempo Storm were already down and out, and they have absolutely blown that expectation out of the water. Hyde, especially on that Skye, had a phenomenal performance, and I already can't wait for Game 2. I want to see this be a trend. I want to see this continue.
If you believe in something long enough and you keep getting disappointed, eventually you start to lose a bit of faith. And then once you do lose that faith, that seems to be when what you were originally believing in starts to happen. I have been saying for a season and a half that Tempo Storm was a team to watch out for, that they could be this massive dark horse. And I've started to fall off that train the last couple of weeks. I really kind of was like, all right, they're just not performing. They can't live up to it. Now all of a sudden they're back on, and they looked so good. This was the Tempo Storm I've been wanting to see for months.
And I'm going to take your statement and use it for CP Sky. I believed in the pick for so long, trying to call her out. No one picked her up. Now that I forgot about her team, such as Tempo Storm picks her up and wins with her. What an exciting one.
I feel like this has been a very emotional death segment so far. Let's get on into some replays and do some analysis of that game. Most of the replays are going to be all about Tempo Storm. They started things off strong. Let's jump on into the first one. This was Tempo Storm getting themselves a fantastic fight.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to use the Sky so well, just staying on the outside of these fights for so long until it became had an opportunity to get into the thick of things and not be at risk. And Hyde's positioning throughout most of this game was incredible.
I mean, we talked about how great of a pick it is. The reason why that is the case is because Rhyme and Rona and Lance can't reach her unless they land an Impale, for example, or land a Valkyrie. And that can only happen if Sky is out of position. The fact that Sky positioned really well meant that no one could get to her. They had to focus the Blackfeather and the Arden, and that meant that Sky was dealing damage the entire time.
Absolutely. The next replay we have was Rogue managing to win a team fight for themselves, I believe around the 11-minute mark in the game, or 14-minute mark, sorry.
This team fight, yeah, they did win it, but in my opinion, it was a mistake. You can see the gauntlet being dropped. If Blackfeather pulled out a little bit and played around those walls to stun multiple targets and give more time for Sky to deal damage, it would have been a different case. But the fact that he stayed in the team fight, he used his Rose offensive forward rather than backwards, meant that he could be taken down, and Sky ended up too far away, couldn't deal the damage.
Absolutely. Now, this next replay we have, this is quite a fun one. It's quite a long replay. You may have to bear with us, but this fight went on for a long time. Tempo obviously did manage to win it in the end, but just take a look at this. And I mean, it was just such a dance between these two teams.
Yeah, and this was almost kind of really idealized what was going on in this game. A beautiful death from above, just causing so much damage. And again, Hyde skirting around the outskirts of this.
Yeah, there was also a Kithian wall that stunned the second gauntlet that was going to drop down, not allowing it to happen. But again, Sky dancing around, just continuously using her range. This series strike here is going to be beautiful. He used it to close the gap to Lance to be able to kill him with the max range of the forward barrage. What an incredible play. And then after that, just continued on kiting. Rona goes in, another series strike, making a bigger distance, or creating more distance for himself for the forward barrage to close out the kill. And then at this point, it's only Rhyme available. He starts hitting, but watch this death from above placement. He's going to place it behind Rhyme, then Surge strikes into it. Now, Rhyme, when he's trying to attack Sky, he has to walk into the death from above, and it means he's getting damaged from multiple abilities. And then at that point, Arden, he has the damage of the Vanguard and the blood for blood to finish the kill onto the Rhyme.
And so painful for the Rhyme because he got that Treant too, which maybe could have given him just enough regen, but doesn't actually get to him in time. So what a fight.
Honestly, I feel like that last replay is just a sales pitch for CP Sky, in all honesty, because it's just so difficult to get onto him. This is going to be the end of the game coming on through his Tempo. Managed to push alongside. But look at the gauntlets. Look how many stuns land onto Rogue.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a mistake from Rogue. They kind of walk into the gauntlet wall back and forth, getting stunned multiple times. Each member. It was a little confusing. I wonder, maybe they forgot that you can get stunned by the same wall multiple times. I don't know what it was, but it was definitely a lapse of judgment for the side of Rogue at the end of the game. Maybe just being frustrated with how the entire game had gone thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of a disastrous last team fight, it has to be said. But let's take a look at the damage that came out during that game. Fairly unsurprisingly, it's Hyde topping that table, but Hammy and Gatsby almost exactly the same number, like 70 points different between those two. But Hyde, incredible Skyplay, it has to be said.
No, almost the exact same damage, but Sky doing so much work. And I'm very happy to see Tempo Storm going for something a little bit off meta, but works really well. I mean, once she got to her late game, there wasn't anything that Rhyme and Rona could do. Something to mention is during the early game, Rhyme actually got about 15 CS ahead just because of his faster clear. So there was room for advantages and Snowball, but they just could not execute, and the Sky Blackfeather was too good.
Absolutely. Well, we need to start to talk about the next draft on in this series. And my big question, because Tempo Storm, they, let's not pretend here, they have pulled out a huge upset by beating Rogue. And I'm excited to see what the rest of this series has in store for us. But I do have to ask, was this a matter of Tempo Storm stepping up, or was this a matter of the Sky pick being just exceptionally strong?
A little bit of both. The Sky pick was the perfect pick in this situation, but it also had to be played exceptionally well. Like we were mentioning, the Lance can still get onto the Sky with Rona and Rhyme if Sky is out of position, even just a little bit. They can still get onto her, but Hyde played this so well the majority of the time that they were able to just make it work. So it was both Tempo Storm executing this the way they needed to, but also just bringing a great draft to the table.
I mean, even if it is the Sky pick that won it for them, they're the ones who picked it. They're the ones who recognize that it's a great situation for it, despite no one else picking it up here in 2.9.
Fantastic stuff coming out from Tempo Storm. I am so excited to see if they can replicate that success. Banning the Saw once again. They've clearly done their homework coming in against Rogue.
One thing to mention is if they win this weekend, then they go on to winning the next weekend, and Nova doesn't pick up any points, they could get out of the challenge zone, and that's what they're fighting for here.
Yeah, there's still a lot on the line for Tempo Storm, and there's a lot on the line for Rogue as well. Although Rogue, TSM lost their semi-final, so Rogue aren't in too much trouble, per se, if they lose this semi-final. But consider how far ahead of TSM they could get if they do win the semi-final. They are wanting every single point available to them. And there are 4 points on the line for winning this series.
Yeah, you want to have that little bit of a safety net going into the final week. But, again, Rogue need to come up with something here to figure out what Tempo Storm is going to do. Tempo Storm with the Black Feather immediately. Rona gets picked up, and Rogue had to think about that one for quite some time because you want to have the Rona against the Black Feather, but at the same time, if you don't pick it up right there, it's going to get banned. But picking it up early allows counters to come through.
They also banned the Sky to remove that counter that they played against last game, so Tempo Storm do not have the same option to counterplay the Rona. This time they have to think of something different. Putting Black Feather in the jungle and playing him as CP, and then picking up something such as Vox in the lane could be what they go for.
That's got to feel good for Hyde as well, commanding a respect ban on that Sky. Just after one single game of playing that, you know that you did a great job when that respect ban comes through.
Yeah, absolutely. But now Tempo Storm, obviously Rogue is going to try and put this into a full-on brawl composition. So do they have an answer? The Kestrel is now available for them as Rogue picks the Arden. I would not be surprised. I would expect the Kestrel to come out for Tempo Storm. It could go. There's actually a potential here for this to be a Crystal Kestrel that could come through, because that is also exceptionally good into a hard dive composition. As long as you can predict when they're going to try and jump in, drop that active camo, you can delete them when they jump in on you.
I would love to see a Lyra here since she's still open. Either Lyra or go for Fortress and then pick up a Vox. That would be a very interesting composition because Rona wants to go in onto you and fight in front of you. Regardless, not going to talk too much about it because they do pick up the Grace. That's going to be a pick that can protect her carries with multiple heals, especially if she picks up the Echo. And the Holy Nova works really well against Nova or against Rona. We saw it earlier today multiple times.
I would love to see a Baron coming out here for Tempo Storm. Let's bear in mind, Gatsby, all of his highlights from last season were on that Baron. He is a very good Baron player himself, and it can work well into these compositions that want to go later. It's going to be a Reza locked in, though.
Never mind.
The Reza, it's a little bit iffy. We've seen Hyde. Hyde was one of the first people to bring out the Reza, but he has not had success with it. So obviously still a pick that they have a lot of faith in, but I just don't know if we have seen enough from Hyde with this pick to really warrant grabbing it in this situation.
Cruel could come out here, or Baptiste. They need something jungle. They needed CP. The thing is, Tempo Storm, they picked up the Reza, but they have a triple melee composition against Rona, so it's going to be very difficult for them to play at the same time. They're the one who chose it, so they must feel confident in playing it. It's going to be interesting to see. Rogue, though, Baptiste or Cruel or something different like a Petal could also work. It is a Cruel.
Cruel comes on through, so we are going to have all melee action coming on in once again, but the Rona, definitely one of the strongest picks in that kind of scenario. How are we feeling about these compositions? Who's going to be the ones being proactive in this early game?
You would expect it to be both of them, really. They're both going to want to be so aggressive. Obviously, Kroll wants to try and stop this Reza from getting the Aftershock for as long as possible, but at the same time, as soon as Reza feels like he has any sort of damage, he's going to be looking to invade and steal camps away from the Kroll. So this is one of those games that could just be a bloodbath from the start.
I certainly hope so. Those are the kind of games that I love to watch. But it's definitely the kind of game that Arona excels in as well. How are we feeling? Like, if this starts to go later on in the game, does either team have a significant advantage?
I mean, Rona works really good against triple melee, but Reza and Blackfeather have really good late game scaling. That Cruel is definitely going to be able to shut down the Reza if he plays aggressive, however.
All right, we'll see if they can shut down that Reza. It's time to get on into this one. Hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know whether you believe in the Tempo Storm 2-0 or if you think Rogue can push this to a 3-game series. It's time to pass it back over to Humanist and Dowsy and get into game number 2.
That's right, we're in game 2 of this Upset City series right here between Tempo Storm and Rogue. A little bit different of a draft coming out of Tempo on this side. Dowsy, you had a lot to say during the draft. Why don't you break this one down for us?
All right, so Reza, my boy. If anyone's been checking out some of my gameplay of recent Humanist, I've been loving a bit of the Reza. He's a very fun hero to play, has a lot of power. Everyone's calling Cruel this massive counter pick into Reza. I don't quite believe it. What Cruel does do is control the early game, because if Cruel is there, Reza's not, in some sense of the word. But Sibs is going to charge onto Reza and try and attack him, and then Hyde's just going to go beep, beep, troublemaker, and get out of there. Like, it's Reza doesn't fight Cruel unless he wants to, and in team fights, Sibs is going to be looking to get onto Gatsby, apply those weakness stacks to him because he's the major threat, mostly of the time, and that's when Hyde can jump onto the Cruel and really burst him down. Ooh, almost steals away that, but now Playboy Africa.
Oh, you've been punished for your sins, Rogue. Finding first blood. They also got that Elder Tran and went over to Sibs. Hyde, little troublemaker over the wall. That's the elusiveness we're going to see out of this Rez as we move forward.
Yeah, in the lane as well. Lots of damage on to Gatsby. Gonna be okay. We'll
be all right.
Walk away. He's going to backport here because he's pushed the lane a little bit, so he wants to try and save his healing flask, get back to base as quickly as possible, try not to miss out on too much CS. I'm not saying that Cruel is bad into Reza by any stretch of the measure, Humanist. Like, that you do have to respect the Cruel. It's very difficult to 1v1 a Cruel. Not many heroes can 1v1 a Cruel, and Reza's not super able to. You know, maybe if you catch the Cruel off guard, you can land about a bunch of burst damage onto him. But Hyde has a bit of playmaking ability, able to secure his camp as well as Rogue tried to make the aggressive rotation down. It's a very difficult composition for Reza to play on into here. Hyde has picked up a banner here, which shows that he doesn't feel very comfortable clearing on Reza. If he was to convert that banner into Stormcrown, I would say right now that Rogue wins this game. It's just not a great item for Reza. Build banner if you want wave like jungle clear, but don't convert the Stormcrown. Stormcrown, now that's been changed into an item that ticks over time, doesn't quite synergize with bursty heroes anymore, which is usually the heroes that we see Stormcrown burst on in previous updates.
Yeah, I mean, and even when we see the banner picked up recently, it's not really built into the Stormcrown. Fortress, the other one that is doing that. I guess if any hero is out on the fold. We're 3 minutes in. This game pretty quiet across the board, other than that first blood. Teams, just making their standard rotations, but they haven't rotated into each other just yet. Rogue down by the shop. They'll be waiting for this Elder Treant to spawn out. Sib's level 4 here. He's got nice level progression. It feels like once they start to clash, they're gonna just blow each other up.
Hyde's playing very aggressive.
That's a bold move from Hyde, but once again, just right over the wall.
Yeah, this is the thing. So he has a lot of mobility, so he's able to kind of make these aggressive plays, but it's very difficult to ever steal something away. He's going to run to Hammy here. Doesn't want to fight. I think he can, though.
Hammy, just a jungler now. Doesn't even care. He's taking the fronts away. Playboy might have rotated down and Hyde's there, but he doesn't care. I mean, Hyde's not really a threat to Hammy at this point.
Yeah, no, Hyde's kind of struggling to find his spot in this game. Needs to focus on his farming, but what Rogue are doing is very clever. They're rotating down from the lane, pushing the under turret, which forces Gatsby to stay in lane. And then Hammy rotates down and tries to steal away the fronts away from Hyde. You can see there's a bit of a deficit starting to build up between Hyde and Sibs. Not only that, because he's gone banner, his aftershock is going to be heavily delayed. Sibs has found him.
Yep, there's a little bit of damage down in the jungle as Sibs is locked onto target. Can this Troublemaker be used to get him out of here? Imagine it can. Healing Flask coming through. Hyde's going to be okay. Sibs has to peel off of this.
Yeah, no, he definitely does. And right now, we're not really seeing any action on the
A
Reza
little action
front.
in lane, on point on it too, Gaspy in. But these early healing flasks really negate a lot of kills coming out, Dowsy.
Yeah, they're very good. If you time them well, you can get a lot of value out of them, really. Hyde's feeling very desperate at the moment. He's actually found himself caught between a rock and a hard place here. Looking to try in a backport. I think he will be allowed to do so. Sib's not going to challenge him. Much more interested in farming up. And the CS deficit that's starting to build between Sibs and Hyde is going to be a talking point throughout this game, because Sib's early game power is going to be far more influential.
Hammy, a little red mist, gets the Vanguard. That's the Holy Nova to cancel it off out of Playboy. Gaspy just farming underneath his turret right now. And Sibs making an aggressive move towards the jungle. He takes the mid away from Tempo one more time. So we do see net worth starting to build up in favor of Rogue at this point. Hyde, interesting movements up towards the lane. Rogue as 3 drop down towards the shop. It's the Tension Bow picked up for Sibs, Reflex as well. Both teams have Fountain ready to go, and this may be our first team fight here. Red Mist coming out of Hammy, spinning all over. Gaspy starting to drop low. Can he get out of this one? Rose offensive over the wall.
Oh, wow.
From Hell's Heart connects. That's the stun. Sibs is locked onto target. Gaspy goes down. And now maybe they're going to look for more. Push onto the turret. What do you think they do?
I think they need to push. Hyde's nowhere to be seen. What can Playboy Afro really do? Sibs and Hammy between them can take this turret down very quickly. This should be free.
There you go, free turret, pretty much. Well, a nice team fight win, straight into the objective, and this is pretty much the Rogue that we know and love.
Yeah, no, this is really good stuff from Rogue, and really surprising play from Tempo after coming off such a strong, momentous first game here. They've kind of just allowed Rogue to do what they want here. Aftershock is completed. That's about 2 minutes late because of the fact that he went the banner start, and he's actually sold the banner now, going to be building a double crystal bit. Considering in North America here, Rezzers generally max their A and build Dragon's Eye second, which is okay. You're then going to prioritize double defensive after the Dragon's Eye. I don't think maxing A makes any sense. You're into a composition. You don't need extra range.
Yeah, and face checking right into the bush as well. And he's going to use the old over-the-wall Troublemaker. Will avoid the Gauntlet. Evil, I mean, that was a pretty good Gauntlet if Hyde wasn't so incredibly mobile. So a nice dodge out there by Tempo.
Yeah, and so right now Rogue are very free to just do whatever they want because of the fact that there's really not enough damage on Tempo to contest these team fights. Hyde is far behind. Gaspy, Sorrowblade first isn't super impactful.
Holy Nova on to 2. Gaspy in and around these fight. Hyde dropping low. Divine Intervention, though, will keep him alive. Playboy Afro, has he overextended? He's able to boot himself out of there. Gaspy on point. Rose offensive once again. He's back in with a Faint of Heart, but taking way too much damage, and they're going to be able to take Gaspy down. Now, into the fray on top of Hyde. Does Hyde have a Troublemaker ready to go? He does have one activation ready to go, but it's not going to be able to get him out of the situation. And Rogue take another fight. It's now 4-0, 7 minutes, 45 seconds in, and Hammy just solos out the Crystal Sentry.
Yeah, very simple stuff. Crystal Sentry goes down. Gold mine are going to be restarted up here by Rogue. They have themselves a 2,000 gold lead, about to become 3 once they get this gold miner here. Gaspy, Sorrowblade first item on Black Feather. Seemed to work out pretty well for them in the previous game due to the fact that he was almost just more of a distraction for this guy. But in this game, he has to be a damaged front. And Serpent's Mask Breaking Point is just such a perfect synergization of items for a Black Feather. Provides everything he wants and more. Gaspy's not going to be going towards it. I'm assuming he's going to be a Poison Shiv second, and then there it is, a Breaking Point third. Which, as a 3-item build, is fine. It just feels like it's in the wrong order for him. Hyde is prioritizing a Broken Myth second, which I love on Reza. Reza's crystal power ratios aren't that high, Humanist, so when you build a Dragon's Eye, you're spending a lot of money for an item that gives you more crystal power. You don't have high crystal power ratios. That seems a little bit wasted, but what the Broken Myth does do is pierce through the shielding, which Hammy and Sibs are going to be building up. You can already see shielding built. And when Broken Myth it goes up against targets of 50 shielding or greater, that's when it's really at its peak. Every hero in the game has 50 shielding at level 12, so it's a very useful item early on in the Reza. Going to provide Hyde a bit of damage.
Rogue jumping onto Gaspy. Gaspy very quickly repositioning there. He'll turn around with that on point, connects onto Sibs. Sibs has found himself Hyde here in the jungle, but don't want to fight. There's no reason to fight at all if they can jump down, take a Crystal Sentry. Now, Holy Nova will find a stun. Playboy just kind of delaying the inevitable here. Sibs empowered up in that brush there, but I guess they're starting to respect maybe the damage coming out of Tempo. We'll see if they're respecting it or not. From Hell's Heart, they turn it around. It's the Rigus! Holy Nova will actually cancel that off just for a second. The sustain coming through. Tempo Storm, have they found a fight? Yes, they have! Oh no, Rogue have done this to themselves. Troublemaker over the wall into the fray to chase. Hammy, he's gonna turn, but Playboy Afro has his second Holy Nova. Look at the big damage starting to come out of the Reza building up. This is the red mist spinning all over. Hammy gets deleted though. Gatsby has that big Faint of Heart coming through. Evo last man standing, and Gatsby will tap him on the booty as he runs out of here, dropping the taunts. Hyde will take away the mid, and Tempo Storm finding an opening here in game 2.
Yeah, no, it's really nice stuff from them. Like you mentioned, Rogue realized that they were in trouble as soon as the burst poke damage came out. When you do max your Scorcher, your A ability on Res, you do get a little bit more damage on it. So if you're able to poke out a little bit before the team fight begins, then you can chip away a tiny little bit at the health bars. And now that Gatsby has hit this point where he's a little bit more tankier, his on point can do a bit of work as well. Tempo Storm do lose their Crystal Sentry in that engagement, but they're showing that they have a bit of Zaz in them. They're able to take against this double arm weapon power composition. And that's actually going to be a bit of a hindrance towards Rogue against a Black Feather and a Reza. It allows for the armor to be stacked up here. Hyde as well in the jungle could go a 4 damage item build, which on Reza is very impactful.
What's the play coming out of Rogue here? A nice stun onto Playboy. Playboy is just put down immediately. Not an opportunity to respond at all. Rogue will eliminate the Crystal Sentry coming out of Tempo Storm and just scatter Tempo to the winds here. This is Hyde moving over. He'll take away a mid-trans, of course, from Rogue, but Rogue go for a Gold Miner as well. So clean execution.
Yeah, very nice from Rogue, and just unfortunate for Tempo Storm to lose a single member, and such an impactful member early on in the fight. Hyde's doing his best to execute and get a silver lining out of this one. Goes to the back, steals away some gold. Gonna get himself that Broken Myth online. Have to see if he starts prioritizing the armor now for himself. Gatsby already has that metal jacket and a reflex block. Going to build that into a second Crucible, you think, for the team, which allows for Playboy Afro to be kind of a crew blocker with his Crucible, and then Gatsby to be able to provide escapes on the Gauntlet Wars. Gatsby and Hyde both have ways of escaping Gauntlet without needs of reflex block. Both their ultimates can, get over that Gauntlet War, but they really want to use them. Hyde doesn't necessarily want to use his ultimate as escape tool. Neverform Detonator does a significant amount of damage, especially when Firestarter is already applied to an opponent. And so he wants to be trying to put that in a position where he's going to maximize his damage output. But Sibs has kind of hit this point on this Cruel because he's gone Tension Bow first. We talked about this yesterday. When you go double weapon power on and you have a Cruel on your team, you kind of have to prioritize Bonesaw.
Might be Rogue looking to start a fight here at Tausi. Hammy starts spinning up on the red mist, but Gatsby, he hits the on-point Rose Offensive over the top side. I'll go ahead and block off the Atlas Pauldron coming out here, and a nice block indeed. As it's an important tool for Sibs as he does get in there into the backlines. And Rogue, they just drop down, they can rotate freely through the jungle now that there's no Crystal Sentry at all. Hammy over the wall, tap Playboy, then move back over to Gatsby. Gatsby lands the on-point. Rose Offensive's right over that dead turret right there. And once again, Hyde doing pretty much the only thing he can at this point. He just moves over, takes a little bit out of the jungle from Rogue.
Yeah, no, this is clever play from Hyde, because until Gatsby gets himself a breaking point, Tempo Storm aren't in a super position to fight. Rogue, though, have shot themselves in the foot once more. Talk about this Tension Bow first on Cruel. It's a great first item for Cruel when you've got a Crystal Power option on your team. Because of the burst damage it does when you jump onto your ally, it provides so much threat from the Cruel. But as you get into the late game and armor is stacked up, we already have Metal Jacket for Gatsby, Coated Plates for Hyde, then there's no real way to share that piercing. Tension Bow only pierces for yourself, and it's a weak pierce. It's not the strongest armor breaker that you can get. But when you get a Bonesaw first on Cruel, what then can happen is Hammy jumps onto the same target that Cruel's focusing. That armor shred that comes from the Bonesaw is shared to Hammy, and it just maximizes efficiency for Rogue, allows them to kind of shred armor with just one item for 2 heroes.
This is Rogue trying to take the gold miner. Sibs is down there solo, but Hammy and Evol move up into the lane as Tempo start the push. I guess they don't realize this is a 3 versus 2 situation. Both teams have the echoes available on their captains now. Look at the red mist building up breaking point stacks. You gotta respect. This is Divine Intervention comes down onto Hyde. The two gauntlets splitting up Tempo as Rogue just pick them apart. Playboy is down. Gaspy, what's the play, bud? You probably just want to peel for Hyde and get yourself out of here. They're both going to go ahead and recall back. But Rogue making very clean plays here.
Yeah, Sibs now with a Shiver still. Really nice purchase here. Provides slow for his team. There is not much CC on the team apart from those gauntlets, so just providing slows is very useful. Hammy's going ham.
Just living up to his name, Hamuel. Doing a great job. Now we're 15 minutes in. The Kraken has awakened, so a nice team fight for Rogue could spell Kraken going their way. And then the push will be coming down hard onto Tempo. Hyde. Pretty aggressive plays here. You could tell that Hyde's starting to come into his own. Sibs is empowered by the shadows. He hangs out in that brush there. The form detonator over the top will consume that fire starter. Troublemaker 4, you see the burst damage coming out as he procs off the aftershock here. Holy Nova winds up, blocked off, but Hammy spins in the red mist, pulls off of it. He starts to get the basic attacks down to Gaspy. Gaspy has to reposition. A nice Vanguard will go ahead and slingshot his teammate forward. Playboy Afro, he has to peel off of this one. He goes down from Hell's Heart onto Gaspy as he's trying to exit the situation. Stage left. Kraken working for Rogue now. Just a preemptive strike by the Kraken there. So knew that Rogue will soon be capturing it.
Yeah, no, that's fairly unfortunate for Tempo Storm. They recognized the opportunity that they had. Hyde's going to look for a steal here. I don't think he's going to be allowed to do so.
Hyde's going to just troublemaker himself out of here.
Yeah, great presence of mind from Hammy to just force Hyde away. The Nevertorn detonator, if timed correctly, could have burst down the Kraken, but it's not going to be an issue. Like I mentioned, great understanding that there was a window of opportunity to find a kill, but Gaspy still didn't have the breaking point at that point, so this Black Feather is just not outputting that much damage to this very tanky roster that Rogue have. And
Hyde, what are you doing? Hyde, no! He troubled Troublemaker's right into the wall. He'll get the Divine Intervention and healing coming out, but that was almost a disaster.
Yeah, very much so. It does get echoed. There will be another Divine Intervention in this next team fight. The Kraken taking potential for Tempo is not very good. They need to find a team fight win here if they want to stop Rogue pushing on into the base with this Kraken. Now or never.
Remember, there's 3 Atlas Pauldrons for Rogue right now. It's so incredibly difficult. And the perfect double gauntlets coming out. Venn diagrams. Evil. He's just going ham. What? Just an Arden Lord here. You're going to have Playboy Afro dropping down low. Spectral Smite almost cleans him up. Holy Nova just shy of peeling Rogue off. This is Tempo. They've lost their captain. Kraken very healthy. Marching forward. Dowsey is looking like Rogue's going to be closing out Game 2 and sending us to a Game 3 very soon. But maybe Tempo have something to say about it. This is not looking good, though. Actually able to take down Hammy, but Evil and Sibs still healthy. One turret down on 50% health here. Evil drops down around the backside. Sibs just kiting out Gaspy and Hyde, playing games now. You see both teams trying to apply their Atlas Pauldrons. It's going to be going the way of Rogue here. Pretty beautiful stuff. And Sibs might drop. Evil might too in the end. I don't even know, but the Kraken's too healthy. And what a Game 2 as Rogue show back up.
Yeah, no, great stuff from Rogue, and Tempo Storm just not really meeting any conditions for themselves for a win here. Reza, very fun pick, very good at assassination, but against massive tanks isn't as effective. Viable, but not effective. This Black Feather build from Gaspy was just backwards. Perhaps if he went Poison Shiv into Breaking Point, or even just Serpent's Mask into Breaking Point, would have been a completely different story. I guess we'll never know, Humanist. We're going to a Game 3.
Yeah, we're going to Game 3, but you never know. Maybe we can make them replay the game in the future, Dowsey, for your pleasure to see.
When we have the technology.
We have the technology. We'll see. All right, well, to break this one down, let's go ahead and throw it over to our analyst desk.
Guys, we are going to break that one down as we are going to be jumping into a 3rd game. Rogue managing to even up the series on this one. And well, it was a little bit more I say a little bit more one-sided. The first game was very one-sided. One-sided the other way, though, this time around.
Yeah, it was a bit of a